This week, my cousin's story is just incredible. We all know someone who's like John and Chantel, and you just think maybe not even bother trying to encourage them in the faith because they're so set up in their lives. But look what's happened. Jesus is coming after us in the most unlikely ways. So be ready. Our dad's obviously brought up solid Catholic.
Yeah.
They're like belled in for the rosary and mass, and it sounded like Grandad was kind of like really strict generally. Like Dad would say like brush their knees with a scrubbing brush and stuff, and
Really?
it's just kind of like really strict.
Right.
And maybe quite austere. Our dad's brothers and sisters, most of them stopped practicing.
Yeah, I think it was half and half, wasn't it? That's because I think Mark, our Uncle Mark always says that 5 carried on, 5 didn't. I think.
I imagine, I'm pretty sure it was very different. My dad bringing us up and your dad bringing you up.
Yeah, like we used to look at your family and think, but wow, that's
Weird.
yeah, sort of. Yeah, not weird, but like that's heavy. Like not in a bad way. We just saw you as like, wow, you're here, and we still like regarded ourselves as Catholic. We still went to church, but it was like go to church and then that you like sort of put that time in, and our life was completely separate. Like we came home and it was nothing to do with religion or anything. Our life, we played football, we did normal stuff, and we went to church not every single week, but pretty often, like as kids. But it was a completely separate thing.
So no family prayers.
Bedtime
prayers.
Bedtime prayers, yeah.
With mum or dad, both.
Mum actually wrote us a little family prayer that we said, for ages, like as kids. So my mum definitely encouraged that. My dad, I don't really remember doing a bit of prayers with my dad, but yeah, not really. Occasionally we say grace, but
It'd be like the official bless us, O Lord, and these are gifts.
every single time,
Yeah.
And it was more kind of, I guess my dad's upbringing is just kind of like a habit kind of thing. It's like what you did rather than we must thank God for this meal. It's more like we're just kind of going through the motions, you know what I mean? Just doing it because that's what he's always done with it. We used to go, not go because we want to go. It's almost like that's kind of what you have to do.
We were conscious that we were like, we're the ones that say in the rosary, we're just doing all the holy things, we're going on the pro-life walks, and like no one else is doing this. Not only are the whole entire of Dad's family, or not the whole thing, but generally we felt weird with friends, we felt weird with the family. It was just like, so I did totally go away from or not totally, but I did go wayward off the rails a bit in terms of just there was such a big difference between family life and being holy at home, as it were.
Yeah.
And then the rest of everyone else around, no one was doing this.
I've got one memory as a kid of saying it about Uncle Mark with your dad as well. I don't know why. There was some reason we were all in there, like. And I just remember as a kid, it was odd. I felt like I was like entering a spiritual, like doing I don't know, like it felt like eerie to me when we did it. And that was my only memory of doing like a rosary as a child. Just like dark candles, adults like repeating, and it's just a bit like, what on earth is this? Yeah, and that was it. I never touched the rosary until recently.
Hello, welcome to our channel, One of Nine. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maria, and I'm so blessed to have my cousin John here today and his lovely children you'll see spotted about, and his wife Chantel, to share with us a bit about this incredible experience they've had in lockdown. And while many people have found it really difficult to keep their faith in this time, it's been a really like a separating time for many people in their faith. John and Chantel have been moved and drawn into the Catholic faith. So Chantel, thank you so much for talking with us. Your early life, did you have any experience of the faith?
No, my upbringing was very atheist, for want of a better word. My parents had no religion. I think my granddad was Catholic, but my dad then left it behind.
So just normal secular mainstream schools. Did you ever wonder about a religion? Did you ever have...
Yeah, I always knew that, believed that there was a God there, but that's as far as it went. It wasn't, I never really went to church. If it was just for a wedding or, like an event. I never went to church to go to church.
You went through life and school, and then did you go and do a degree?
Yes, I went to Sussex University in Brighton, and I did a psychology degree.
You felt like maybe you were just living a normal life. There was nothing necessary to think about above it. There's probably a God. What did you think about afterlife? There's something nice
I guess,
to come?
I did believe in heaven, but then kind of just thought you just need to be a good person to get there. You know, you just got to be nice to people, you know, not do anything really awful. And then you'll eventually hopefully end up there. And that's, I never really delved into it too much. I never really thought about it. I just kind of went along life just like most people do, really.
What was the first thing the first time you can think about that you started thinking about faith?
When Jude was baptised, he was 1.5 when he got baptised, so it wasn't early on. And we just sort of decided that it was the right thing to do. You know, John had been baptised, and part of it was we thought it would mean a lot to John's dad as well to have Jude baptised. And that kind of got me thinking, like, surely I should look into this as well. Like, why am I getting my child baptised and I'm not even baptised? So that was when the seed first got sowed for me. I never really picked it up again for a while until Noah was then born. And then that got me thinking again when we started talking about that, getting Noah baptised. And that coincided with lockdown.
This time last year, just before Easter, did you want to get married?
No.
Did you want to say prayers?
Do you know, I always said prayers, but I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't really associate. Yeah, I did. I did say prayers. I've always prayed to someone, but there was nothing else.
Do you want to go to mass?
No. I didn't know why we went to mass, to be honest. I didn't know what mass was, and therefore I was sort of discovering it by myself as an adult. I was never like, because I didn't know what it was, I just didn't see any need to go. Like, I was exploring other like avenues of religion. Like, a person I'm close with, a friend who's a Protestant, and he was talking to me about going to his thing and like sort of like clarifying my thoughts about the mass, which was that it was boring, and I saw what they did, and it was all kind of like there was a lot of involvement and it was all upbeat, and I was like attracted to that, so I was kind of going down them avenues as well, and that's where I was probably this time last year. I was just sort of exploring stuff, trying to figure stuff out. But
so not Catholic, not practicing Catholic.
No, because I'd been brought up a Catholic, I sort of thought I knew what it was about, and because I'd experienced it, and I was sort of ready to go somewhere else to kind of just see what it.
So you thought you've done that Catholic thing?
That's what I felt. Yeah, I knew what it was, but little did I know that I didn't have a clue what it was about. Even being brought up in a Catholic family and going to Catholic schools, from what I know now, it's just like I knew next to nothing about it. I was just like doing it because that's what we were told to do. I didn't know why we were doing it, which is, I had no attraction to it for that reason, I guess.
So then how did you go from, this is the big question, from secular life. You're living with your girlfriend, you've got 2 children,
Yeah.
no intention of getting married.
No.
But how then did you get from that to being Catholic?
I know.
Or practicing your faith? Because you were baptised. But
Yeah.
yeah, how did you get to practice?
Yeah, so like I said, I've had years of discovery, and I had all these thoughts about religion and how, like, the standard things a lot of people say about it, like, why is there so many, like, and like, I'm a big fan of people like Ricky Gervais and stuff. And I see their like views on religion, and because like I've removed myself from my upbringing because I'm not really connected to it, I could understand what they were saying. So all that stuff, all these arguments I heard about why it was a load of nonsense, religion, I saw people's thoughts. So I was going down that way, like religion's this man-made thing, it's all about control, and like all of these things I thought about it. And then my Protestant friend who was talking to me, because I always questioned him as well, like, why aren't you this faith? Like, if you were brought up here, you'd be this faith. All these things I was telling him that I was hearing from other people and agreeing with. He always told me to watch these videos where people transition, you know, that they go from like atheist to Christian. I sort of thought, yeah, maybe, like, I never sort of did it. And then my dad sent me a video at the start of lockdown last year, which was, what that had been, like, yeah, near Easter. And it was a homily by a priest, and I thought, oh, what's this about? That's some religious thing. And I put it on, and all it was a video on a priest saying, when we go back to normal after lockdown, what's your normal going to be? Like, this is the time to kind of assess your life and like make it a new normal. And that's what I've always said about people like living this kind of doing jobs they hate, and like I always saw people that they need this kind of spark to kind of change their normal. So that's why he sent me. It was nothing to do with the religious message. There wasn't anything in that. So I watched that video, and then the recommended video next to that was a conversion story, atheist to Christian. And because I'd had these conversations with my friend, I just clicked on it just because it was there. I didn't search for it or nothing. I clicked on it and watched this guy, and literally he said every single thing that I said about religion, like in terms of why he didn't believe in it and why he was an atheist. And I was like nodding my head, like, yeah, that's what I think, that's what I think, that's what I thought, and so forth.
I think with everyone it was sort of a time where people reflected on their life and what it was all about and what they were kind of doing, and for me it was that thing in my mind was, what is this about? Like, what is this life about? And it also coincided with when John started to have his conversion as well, so we were both thinking about it more, and I think that kind of helped us because we were both going through it.
Was there any point you maybe didn't experience like being a bit suspicious of what John was doing, like researching some of this stuff?
No, because like I say, it kind of come at a really good time for me when I was having those thoughts as well. So yeah, we kind of helped each other, like he was discovering things, sharing it with me, and we'd watch things together.
Would you say in any way it would have been more him or more you? It was an equal?
I'd say he definitely helped me along because he's very into researching stuff himself, looking at YouTube videos and that kind of thing. I definitely feel I would have come to this realisation by myself, but I think John definitely helped me get to that place where I needed to be quicker.
That's really special, you did that together.
And then he goes, all I did was, like, I wanted to know whether it's true. I seeked Jesus. So I said, Jesus, if you're real, show yourself to me. That's what this guy was saying in this video, and he did it like intently for about 6 months, he said, and he had all these weird things happen to him to the point where he was sure that he was real, and he converted, and he was like, I experienced what I experienced, and like I was so sure from what I experienced that it was true, so now I'm a like devout Christian. So from watching that video, I just thought, oh, like, could I do that? Could I devote like 6 months of my life trying to like seek him out? Anyway, it was early in the morning. I was up on my own. It's probably 2 o'clock in the morning or something. And I just stared out into a light outside, and I was going, Jesus, if you're real, show yourself to me. If you're real, show yourself to me. I really kind of putting a lot of energy into it, to the point where I was like, you know, when you're like expecting something to happen, like at night, and you're like a bit like weirding yourself out. It kind of got like that. So I kind of like shuddered, and I was like, oh. It got like a little bit scary, like a bit freaky. So I stopped it. Anyway, I went to the fridge or something, like went away from where I was working. I come back and there was a notification on my phone, and it was a YouTube notification. And now I play drums, so I'm always watching drum videos and stuff. I don't watch religious videos. Well, I didn't back then. And there was a recommended video for me that I just clicked on. Literally, this is moments after I just did this thing, Say That Light, and it was a recommended video of a drummer called Jesus. And I was just like, it really weirded me out. I was like, I've just done that and I've come back and there's a drum video, like, not a drum I've ever heard of, never seen one called Jesus, and it was a guy called Jesus. And I was just like, that's really weird. And it freaked me out. Anyway, on that moment, I had the weirdest sensation, like, no joke, it's a really weird thing. I can't even describe to you what happened to me, but I broke down in tears. And then I was like, I don't know, like, it was like a whole body, like, weird thing that, like, from that moment, I just felt this strong urge to, like, I don't know, like, he was there. Like, literally, that's how I felt. It was so strange. Like I said, I can't put into words how I felt. I don't know, I don't even know what I'd call the emotion. It was like joy, but like, I just felt so sure that something was happening to me in that moment, and like a presence was there. And ever since that moment, like, I've just been on fire in terms of, like, inside me. It's really weird. Really strange.
Then what did you do next?
I thought, I've got to explore this.
Did you watch that video, Jesus the drummer?
No, do you know what? I never did. I never did. But do you know what? The first thing I did in that moment, I thought of Sal Solo, a family friend, and I put on his San Damiano video just for, like, old time's sake, and that made me feel really good. And I thought, I need to kind of explore this. And I'm still open to any kind of Christian thing, but the first thing I did, because it was lockdown, there's no masses on, I went back to the local church and just did some, like, private prayer and stuff. And that was it, my whole thing. I looked into the faith. I wanted to know why there was different lines of Christianity, why there's Protestant, why there's Catholic and all this. And I needed to know what one was right and, like, where to go with it. Because I just felt like this whole desire to get back somewhere and get involved somewhere, but I didn't kind of know where yet.
And completely open to anything?
Yeah, like I said, I felt this, like, like Jesus presence. And then, yeah, like, the exploration happened, and then I just found out about, like, how it all started and what the Last Supper was, and, like, why we go to Mass and what the Mass is about and why it's boring, like, why we perceive it as boring, because it's nothing to do with, like, what we expect it to be. Like, we expect it to be some sort of entertainment and, like, getting together and singing and dancing and stuff. I always thought, why don't we do that? And then, yeah, once I figured all this out, it just got clearer and
that's interesting coming from you, because being a musician, having been in a band, like, living that life where maybe a lot of your energy you've put into, like, your football, like high energy, and then your music and that high energy of music and band life and, like, exciting. And then so I can see how this is, like, removed from that in that way, quiet and still. Have you come to appreciate that?
Totally. Like, now I know why we do that. That's the thing. Like, until you do, it is just like you see it as a boring, like, what's the point of that? Like, but as soon as you know what the Mass is and why you go, yeah, it completely changes your mindset. Like, now I'm like, it's the most beautiful thing on earth, isn't it, to go to Mass? Like, we're out from my previous perception, I didn't know what it was. It was probably one of the most boring places to be on earth.
So you've gone from anti-religion to, would you say, like, your whole heart Catholic?
Yeah. Like I said before, when I was brought up, church was a completely separate thing. Like, you had real life where you played with your friends, played football, and then you went to church, quickly got that done, and then got back to life. Now it's like everything I do, it's like on my mind, as if, like, everything I do, I choose to do, or any, like, little decision, like, I have to make. Like, before, maybe I'd tell, like, a little white lie to kind of get my own way or something. Now it's like, I don't think like that. I don't think about myself.
So would you blend this all up first, then leave it in storage and keep it in, or you blend as you go?
Blend as you go. So we cut it up, keep it up, got jar,
yeah.
and take as you need. And then
it jar in the fridge?
Half fridge, half freezer. Yeah, it lasts.
How long will it last in the fridge?
I think like 5 days.
And where did you order it in from? You order a massive sort of, like, segment of a leaf?
We actually order from a fruit and veg, like, supplier, like
probably from where you used to do your...
Fruity Beads, yeah, that's it.
But still you can do it as a family. This is really helpful to know. I was talking to a mum of 8 recently, and she was saying, like, the big things that she now buys. She was like, I've just had to accept we've got a big family, we need to start going to cash and carry.
Yeah, it's the best way.
But this is interesting, because you're doing it with a small family and making it work.
And it's not great produce at supermarkets, like, compared to, like, proper suppliers. Like, that's delivered as well. You just wake up, it's all just piled up on your doorstep.
That's good. So what else do you order in bulk?
All fruit veg, so greens, like all this stuff. Yeah, that's it. Just
Do you have
fresh
smoothies every day?
Yeah,
Breakfast, lunch? 2 a day?
breakfast.
Just breakfast?
Yeah, just one really.
Yeah?
It's more just to get stuff in.
Yes. Nutrients?
Yeah. We've got some good powders of stuff you just wouldn't eat if it was on its own. And it's just great, especially for
What
the
powders
kids.
are you using? Hemp?
We use hemp seeds, but we've got this green formula, which is like it's all wild plants, like proper nutrient dense, like stuff from the deserts that you'll never get like in supermarkets, and it's all just dried and powdered. Spoonful of that in there, and you just get stuff you wouldn't ever get from any food.
Yeah, I
in
find
the
this,
UK.
because I wouldn't have bought supplements a long time ago. I just really got into, actually, I'm not getting all this stuff from my lovely food, like from normal food.
Mm-hmm.
So there is this really wonderful idea just to eat food, real life food. I'm not actually getting around to doing it. And actually, when it comes to it in week in, week out, I'm just not buying enough of variety and all the things, like you say, seasonal and all that sort of thing. So just having a powder that you can just go tap tap.
Yeah.
And it's like nutrient dense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good. And when the children are eating it, I'm just like, yay.
It feels great, doesn't it? Yeah. And I mean, the stuff we use, it's not even supplements, it's actual food, just powdered up. So it's not like...
so like a whole food blend.
That's literally it. It's just dried and powdered. It's not like from a lab or anything, it's literally from the earth. Like, really.
So good. Is there anything that you would recommend for somebody that's curious about the faith, that's helped you?
I did a really good course. I have to find the name of it, but it's by someone called Mauro, and it's all about the Bible, and that was really interesting. I really enjoyed that, and I'd definitely recommend that for anyone new, because it's really kind of simple terms, like helps you understand exactly, what.
Was it the
what
Bible
is about.
Timeline in a Year course?
Yeah. It was from Pat at St Hilda's, because I was doing my catechism with her. She mentioned it to me. It was a bit tricky because it started at 7 o'clock every evening, and obviously that's when you've got kids, that's bedtime. So I often missed the first half hour, 45 minutes, but because it was live and you couldn't get it recorded. But even that was it was really good, really eye-opening. If he does it again when they're a bit older, I'll do it again when they can actually go to bed.
So then you started with some YouTube videos, talking to your dad.
Yeah, my dad, which was really strange, he was kind of going through a similar thing, like in a different country at a similar time. Like, he had a real pull to the Eucharist, and he was kind of telling me this stuff, and I was sort of talking to him, I think, about like the Protestant thing, and I don't know where to go and like what's right. And he pointed me to a couple of guys on YouTube who converted from Protestant to Catholic. And I watched a few of his videos and why he converted. And all I heard from these Protestants converted to Catholicism was the Eucharist. I had always been going to Mass, and I saw this Eucharist as just something we did, like a ritual, like symbolic thing about the Last Supper. I didn't know what the Last Supper was about, but Jesus broke bread and gave it to his disciples. They ate it, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's what we do at church for some reason. I don't know why. And then I literally found out, I never knew that is literally the body and blood of Jesus Christ. And I was like, what? What do you mean that's the actual thing? Like, so when they were saying that, then my head was like, well, why when, like, I've been going to Mass for years, and I if people are believing that, why? I just thought, yeah, the reaction wasn't like sort of big enough for what it is. That kind of disappointed me, and I was like, why has no one told me this? Why did my school never tell me this? Why did the church never tell me this? Like, yeah, just it kind of just, I guess, opened my eyes to what the Eucharist was, and as soon as I kind of knew that, my yeah, my whole sort of thing changed in terms of going to mass.
So you started going to mass?
Yeah, because it was like in these COVID times, it was strange going there because I was going where people were wearing masks, you weren't allowed to receive communion on the tongue and stuff, and like, I was just purely going there because I knew I had to receive the Eucharist, but because I knew what it was, I just felt like it was odd going there with all these rules and stuff, and I was like, we should be escaping what's going on in the world to come to the place where like all our prayers are answered and there's no fear or anything. That kind of weirded me out a bit and made me need to explore more. And then I found out a lot of these guys on YouTube I was listening to were going to a Latin Mass, and I'd never ever heard of that. I never knew there was another Mass, or because obviously I'd been brought up in one. And then I seeked that out, and as soon as I found that, I just saw what I think is like the purest form, and how when I went there, no one was afraid of this virus going on. They were all just like, we're in the presence of God, and like there's no need to worry about anything. That's when I really kind of fell in love with it.
There's a lot of people watching that will be thinking, oh, this is a bit too complicated for me because my life isn't set up as Catholic, but your life wasn't set up as Catholic.
No, totally. So this is the thing. So I started going back, and I was like, oh, this is great. I've got my faith back, which is good. It gave me a whole new sense of life. And my perception of a religious person as well was like far removed from everyday life, like a kind of like boring life where they deprive themselves of so many things. But I've still like lived a pretty similar life to what I was leading before. I just kind of think differently. But then I realised I hadn't been to confession since I was a kid, so that's the first thing I had to do. I was like, right, I need to get to confession, because I was going for communion just straight back to church. I didn't even know the fact you had to be in a state of grace. So I was like, right, I better do a confession. And I was kind of trying to put these wrongs right. And then all of a sudden I thought, I'm living at home, unmarried, 2 kids. And I was like, this isn't right. I need to sort this out as well. And like, we'd spoke about marriage before, and all I said was,
No, not at all. I never thought I would ever get married.
Even when you met John?
Yeah.
Even when you had the boys?
No, it just wasn't something that was important to me at all. I just kind of saw it as a piece of paper, you know, like, okay, so what's different? We're married, but nothing's changed. I think part of it as well was the wedding itself, like, because I really don't like attention. I don't like being the centre of attention at all. And that really put me off as well. So it wasn't just the marriage side; it was also the wedding side. Where I was like, I just don't want that. I don't want everyone there watching me. It's just not for me.
And also, your mum and dad have got a good marriage. They've been married forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been together since they were like 21 and 18 or something like that, I think. So yeah, they've been together more than 30 years. So yeah, it's just funny when they've got such a good marriage that I never thought I would get married.
So would you have maybe had quite a, I don't know, human view that maybe you wouldn't be together forever with John, or you felt that you would have wanted to be together forever?
I guess it's more the fact that in modern society, I feel like marriage it's not what it used to be. I mean, people get divorced so much now, and I guess part of me just thinks, you know, again, what's the point? Everyone just gets divorced anyway. Like, it's just, and it's cost so much money. I just thought, well, why would we do that? I mean, the only thing that I was disappointed with is the fact that I wouldn't have the same name as my kids, and that was it really. Other than that, I just wasn't bothered by it.
I realise for girls it's often something different. Obviously sometimes it's like their dream, and I didn't want to like deprive her of that just because I didn't feel there was any need. But she was the same, so we were both like fine with where we were. And then when I read certain passages in the Bible where like Jesus spoke strongly about fornication, I was just like, wow, I never thought it was that serious, like what we're doing. I thought the fact we're committed anyway because we've got children, we don't obviously have interest in other people, like we've been serious, but it's not like, that's where I struggled to understand it, because I was like, why do you have to get married? Why do you have to have that ceremony to make it?
Because you love each other.
Yeah.
You fully loved each other. You said that to each other. You had that agreement, as it were, like you say.
Yeah, we just thought we didn't need anything. We didn't need the law involved. But then when I obviously knew why you did, and I got lent a really good book, and when I read the reason you get married and so forth, it literally just made complete sense, and that was it. My mind, well, I knew I had to anyway to put things right, but I wanted to know why I had to. And when I found that reason out, I was just like, well, yeah, now I see why we need to do that. So I set the wheels in motion.
Oh, I see. Do you want wheeze? having this like aversion to religion might have had like a few layers to it, and maybe a few that you sort of had to keep overcoming. And I wonder, was one of them like the priest? And you must have heard of all the horrible news about priests. And was there any sort of like suspicion of the priest, or did you find something different when you spoke to a priest?
I've never really needed to approach them outside of the mass. Yeah, obviously everyone's got these perceptions, but I was never concerned about what they'd be like or was worried about talking to one. When I first realised what I was doing was wrong, I went to confession about it, and we spoke about it in the confessional. Yeah, I was just saying I want to put this right. I don't know what to do. I don't know where you go when you say you want to get married. I don't know what you need to do. So I just mentioned it to him, and he spoke about. Yeah, sort of mentioned it's probably a good idea to put it right, and I emailed the parish just to say, look, I'm interested in this. How does it start? And then they got back to me and just said they're willing, because it's like a 6-month course, they were saying. But we had like the preparation online with a priest as well.
So do you feel like maybe he took you under his wing and?
Yeah, it's funny because we found like we said together, like for both of us in the sort of situation we were in, because Chantel was like a brand new Catholic. I was brought up one, but I needed to things put right, and he was like this guy who was. I couldn't have asked for a better priest in that position, from where I was, to kind of direct me and help me. He was honestly the personality-wise and his approach and everything was. And especially the questions I had about the faith as well. That's the thing. He was on cue for that. Really open about look, I'm here. Just whatever you want to ask me about. It doesn't just have to be about marriage. And I had so many questions about the faith in general. He gave it back, and everything was clear from speaking to him. It was like a no nonsense approach, because I feel like culture's kind of pushing how we live and stuff, and it can seem kind of like old school the way we used to do it, but he was just kind of brought me back to that core reason why we do everything. Everywhere else I was seeking these answers. It was like a modern approach, like a new age kind of thing, where his answers just brought it back to the root of where it all come from.
John was brought up saying prayers every day or every night for night time. Did he carry that on with the children?
No, not really, no.
And did you feel like, even as a mumsy thing to do, you just want to say night prayers with them?
I never had the urge to do that at all. But now that we do, it's so lovely to do. And hearing Jude, sometimes I'll say some of the prayer and he'll repeat it back, and it's just the sweetest thing ever. It's so lovely, and I'm disappointed we didn't. I mean, I'm so thankful that I've had this journey now, but I'm disappointed it didn't happen sooner. I mean, we're lucky that we're at an age where Jude is learning now, and we've timed it right to kind of bring him up in this way. But if he was a bit older, it might be a little bit difficult to then say, right, now we're going to church now. I think we've caught it at a nice age where we can have, this can be the norm for him, and he can kind of grow up knowing this is what he's always done.
This time last year you weren't even thinking about it.
No, it's crazy. And now I've had, 4 sacraments in 3 days or something like that.
I feel like everyone just does what they think's right, not what is right, if you know what I mean. And they write off stuff that could be right just because they don't think it's right.
Feelings versus truth.
Yeah, that's it. Through my life, I've heard the reasons they don't believe in God because this happens. And I'm like, well, that's because you wouldn't do that, but that's not to say that there is a God who is doing that and choosing that's what needs to happen in a certain time. Just because it's not the way I would do stuff, that it can't be true. That's what I do. I kind of seek what is true and not what I want to be true, I guess, in the vegan thing and a religion.
I was seeing you from a distance running a marathon for animal rescue stuff. And in that way I could see, and just in my own little way I started thinking, you are doing good things, and you're doing good, you're seeing justice and you want to do the right thing.